And these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and sons were born to them after the flood. The sons of Japheth are Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshech, and Tiras. And the sons of Gomer are Ashkenaz, and Riphath, and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan are Elisha, and Tarshish, and Kittim, and Dodanim. By these the islands of the nations were divided into their lands, each according to his language, according to his families among his nations. And the sons of Ham are Cush, and Mizraim, and Put, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush are Sheba, and Havilah, and Sabta, and Ramah, and Sabteka. And the sons of Raamah are Sheba, and Dedan. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be powerful on earth. And this man was a mighty hunter before the face of the Lord. Wherefore it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar. Out of the same land he went out to Assyria, and built Nineveh, and Rehoboth-ir, and Calah, and Reshem, between Nineveh and Calah. This is the great city. And Mizraim begat Ludim, and Anamim, and Leabim, and Naphtuim, and to Patrusim, and to Casluim, from whence the Philistines came, and to Caphtorim. And Canaan begat Sidon his firstborn, and Heth, and to the Jebushu, and to the Amorei, and to the Girgasiu, and to the Archbishop, and to the Archbishop of Canterbury, and to the Arvadaeans, and to the Zemarite, and to the Hamathite. And afterward the families of the Canaanites were scattered. And it was the border of the Canaanites from Sidon, going to Gerar as far as Gaza, going to Sodom and Gomorrah and Admah and Zeboim to Lassa. These are the sons of Ham, according to their families, according to their languages, in their lands, in their nations. And sons were born to Shem, and he is the father of all the sons of Eber and the elder brother of Japheth. The sons of Shem are Elam, and Asher, and Arphaxad, and Lude, and Aram. And the sons of Aram are Uz, and Hul, and Geter, and Maz. And Arphaxad rebuked Salah, and Salah healed Eber. And to Eber were born 2 sons. The name of one was Peleg, because in his days the land was divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. And Joktan begat Almoda, and Shalef, and Hazarmaph, and Jerah, and Hadro, and Uzal, and Dikla, and Obal, and Abimael, and Sheba, and Ophir, and Havilah, and Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan. And it was his dwelling place from Mesha, going to Sephar, the mountain of the east. These are the sons of Shem, according to their families, according to their languages, in their lands, in their nations. These are the families of the sons of Noah, according to their generations, in their nations. And from these the nations on the earth were divided after the flood. And the whole earth was of one language and one speech. And it came to pass, when they departed from the east, that they found a valley in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said to one another, Come, let us make bricks and burn them well. And the brick was for a stone, and the bitumen for lime. And they said, Come, let us build a city and a tower, whose top touches the heavens, and let us make a name, lest we be scattered over the face of all the earth. Then the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men were building. And the Lord said, Behold, the people are one, and they all have one language. And this is what they begin to do. And now there will be no restraint on all that they intend to do. Come, let us go down and confuse his language there, so that he does not understand each other's language. So the Lord scattered them from there over the face of all the earth, and they ceased to build the city. Therefore his name was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole earth. And from there the Lord scattered them on the face of all the earth. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old, and begat Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived after he begat Arphaxad 500 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Arphaxad lived 35 years, and begat Salah. And Arphaxad lived after he begat Salah 403 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Salah lived 30 years, and begat Eber. And Salah lived after he begat Eber 403 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Eber lived 34 years, and begat Peleg. And Eber lived after he begat Peleg 430 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Peleg lived 30 years, and begat Roi. And Peleg lived after he begat Reu 209 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Reu lived 32 years, and begat Serug. And Reu lived after he begat Serug 207 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Serugu lived 30 years, and begat Nahor. And Serug lived after he begat Nahor 200 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Nahor lived 29 years, and begat Terah. And Nahor lived after he begat Terah 119 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Terah lived 70 years, and begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran begat Lot. And Haran died, while his father Terah was still alive, in the land of his birth, in Ur of the Chaldeans. And Abram and Nahor took wives for themselves. Abram's wife's name was Sarai, and Nahor's wife's name was Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Ishkah. And Sarai was barren and childless. And Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran, his son's son, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, Abram's wife, and went out with them from Ur of the Chaldeans to go into the land of Canaan. And they came to Haran, and dwelt there. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. Genesis chapter 12. And the Lord said unto Abram, Go out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto the land which I will show thee, and I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you, and I will magnify your name, and you will be a blessing. And I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you, and in you shall be blessed all the families of the earth. So Abram departed, as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he left Haran. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all his property, which they had acquired, and the souls that were added to him in Haran, and they went out to go to the land of Canaan. And they came into the land of Canaan. And Abram passed through that land as far as the place of Shechem, as far as the oak of Moreh, and then the Canaanites were in the land. And the Lord appeared to Abram and said, To your seed I will give this land. And he built there an altar to the Lord which had appeared to him. And he moved from thence to the mountain on the east side of Bethel, and pitched his tent with Bethel on the west, and Ai on the east. And he built an altar there to the Lord, and called on the name of the Lord. Then Abram walked from there, and went to the south. And there was famine in that land. And Abram went down to Egypt to sojourn there, because the famine was great in the land. And it came to pass, when he came to enter into Egypt, that he said to Sarai his wife, Now I know that you are a woman beautiful to look at. And it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians see thee, that they shall say, This is his wife, and they shall kill me, and keep thee alive. Say, I pray you, that you are my sister, that it may go well with me for your sake, and that my soul may live for your sake. And it came to pass, when Abram came into Egypt, that the Egyptians saw the woman, who was very beautiful. And the princes of Pharaoh saw it, and boasted of it before Pharaoh. And the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And he did good to Abram for her sake. And he had sheep, and cows, and asses, and male servants, and female servants, and asses, and camels. But the Lord struck Pharaoh with great plagues and his house because of Sarai Abram's wife. Then Pharaoh called Abram and said, What is this that you have done to me? Why didn't you tell me that she was your wife? Why did you say, She is my sister? So that I had taken her for my wife. Now therefore behold your wife. Take it and go. And Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they accompanied him, and his wife, and all that he had. So Abram went up out of Egypt to the south, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him. And Abram was very rich in cattle, silver and gold. And he made his journeys from the south to Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at first, between Bethel and Ai, to the place of the altar which he had made there before. And Abram called on the name of the Lord there. And Lot, who went with Abram, had flocks and cows and tents. And the land was not able to dwell together, because their wealth was plentiful, so that they could not dwell together. And there was strife between the herdsmen of Abram's cattle and the herdsmen of Lot's cattle. And the Canaanites and the Perizzites dwelt in the land. And Abram said to Lot, "Let there be no contention between me and you, and between my shepherds and your shepherds, for we are brothers. Is not all the earth before you? Come then, depart from me. If you choose the left, I will go to the right. And if you choose the right, I will go to the left." And Lot lifted up his eyes and saw all the plain of the Jordan, which was all well watered, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, and was like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, when one enters into Zoar. Then Lot chose for himself all the plain of the Jordan, and Lot departed for the east, and they parted from each other. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tents as far as Sodom. Now the men of Sodom were wicked and great sinners against the Lord. And the Lord said unto Abram, after Lot had departed from him, "Lift up thine eyes now, and look from the place where thou standest, toward the north, and toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the west. For all this land which you see I will give to you and to your seed forever. And I will make your seed like the dust of the earth, so that if anyone can number the dust of the earth, your seed will also be numbered. Arise, go through this land, in its length and in its breadth, for I will give it to you." And Abram pitched his tents, and came, and dwelt in the oak groves of Mamre, which are by Hebron, and built an altar there to the Lord. And it came to pass in the days of Amraphel king of Shinar, Arioch king of Elasar, Chedorlaomer king of Elam, and Tidal king of Goyim, that they made war with Bera king of Sodom, with Birsha king of Gomorrah, with Shinab king of Admah, and with Shemeber king of Zeboim, and with the king of Bela. This is Zoar. All these gathered together in the valley of Siddim, which is the Sea of Sal. 12 years they had served Chedorlaomer, but in the 13th year they rebelled. And in the 14th year Chedorlaomer came, and the kings that were with him, and smote the Rephaim at Ashtaroth Karnaim, and the Zuzans at Ham, and the Amim at Shaveh-Kiriathaim, and the Horites in their Mount Seir, as far as the plain of Paran, which is by the wilderness. And they returned, and came to En-Mishpat, which is Kadesh, and smote all the land of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites, who dwelt in Hazazam Tamar, and the king of Sodom, and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, this is Zoar, went out, and commanded battle against them in the valley of Siddim, against Chedorlaomer king of Elam, and Tidal king of Goyim, and Amraphel king of Shinar, and Arioch king of Elasar, 4 kings against 5. And the valley of Siddim was full of pits of bitumen, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled and fell there, and the rest fled to a mountain. And they took all the farm of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their food and departed. And they took Lot, who dwelt in Sodom, the son of Abram's brother, and his farm, and departed. Then one came who had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew. He dwelt near the oak groves of Mamre the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Aner. They were Abram's confederates. And when Abram heard that his brother was in prison, he armed his servants, who had been born in his house, 318, and pursued them as far as Dan. And he divided himself against them by night, he and his servants, and smote them, and pursued them as far as Hobah, which is on the left side of Damascus. And he brought back the whole farm, and brought back also Lot his brother and his farm, and also the women and the people. And the king of Sodom went out to meet them, after he had returned from smiting Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him, in the valley of Shaveh, which is the valley of the king. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought bread and wine, and this man was a priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram of the Most High God, the possessor of the heavens and the earth. And blessed be the Most High God, who has delivered thine enemies into thy hand. And he gave him a tenth of everything. And the king of Sodom said to Abram, Give me the souls, and take the farm for yourself. But Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up my hand to the Lord, the Most High God, the possessor of the heavens and the earth, and I swear that from a thread to a shoe strap I will not take anything of all that is yours. Lest you say, I have made Abram rich, except only what the young men ate, and the part that belongs to the males who went with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. Let them take their part. After these things came the word of the Lord to Abram in vision, saying, Do not be afraid, Abram, I am your shield, your exceeding great reward. And Abram said, Lord Jehovah, what wilt thou give me? For I walk without children, and the steward of my house is the Damascene Eliezer. And Abram said, Behold, thou hast given me no seed, and behold, one born in my house shall be my heir. And behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, This shall not be thy heir, but he that shall be begotten of thee, the same shall be thy heir. Then he took him away and said, Look now at the heavens and count the stars, if you can count them. And he said to him, So shall your seed be. And he believed in the Lord, and it was reckoned to him for righteousness. And he said unto him, I am the Lord, who brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldeans, to give thee this land, that thou mayest inherit it. And he said, Lord Jehovah, how shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, Take me a 3-year-old calf, and a 3-year-old goat, and a 3-year-old ram, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he brought them all to him, and broke them in two, and set each part of them in front of the other. But the birds did not depart, and the birds descended upon the carcasses. But Abram shooed them away. And when the sun set, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and behold, great astonishment and great darkness fell upon him. Then he said to Abram, Know surely that your seed will be a sojourner in a land that is not his, and he shall serve them and afflict them 400 years. But I will also judge the people whom they will serve, and then they will go out with a large estate. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. In a good old age you will be buried, and the 4th generation shall return hither. For the measure of the injustice of the Amorites is not yet full. And it came to pass, when the sun had set, that there was darkness. And behold, a furnace of smoke and a torch of fire that passed through those halves. That same day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, To your seed I have given this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river Euphrates, and the squirrel, and the squirrel, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Rephaim, and he, Amoritus, and Canaanite, and Girgashu, and Jebushiu. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bore him no children, and he had an Egyptian maidservant whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said to Abram, Behold, the Lord has prevented me from begetting. Therefore come in to my maidservant. Perchance I will have children by her. And Abram heard the voice of Sarai. So he took Sarai, Abram's wife, from Hagar the Egyptian, his maidservant, and gave her to Abram her husband as his wife, at the end of Abram's 10-year dwelling in the land of Canaan. And he went in to Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in his eyes. And Sarai said to Abram, My grievance be upon you. I have put my maidservant in thy lap. Seeing her now that she has conceived, I am despised in her eyes. May the Lord judge between you and me. And Abram said unto Sarai, Behold, thy maidservant is in thy hand. Do to him what is good in your sight. And Sarai grieved her, and she fled from his face. And the angel of the Lord found her by a spring of water in the wilderness, by the spring on the way to Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's maidservant, where do you come from, and where are you going? And she said, I have fled from the face of Sarai, my lady. Then the angel of the Lord said to her, Return to your mistress, and humble yourself under her hand. And the angel of the Lord said unto him, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, which shall not be numbered, however numerous it may be. And the angel of the Lord said unto him, Behold, thou hast conceived, and shalt bear a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard thy affliction. And he shall be a brave man, and his hand shall be against all, and the hand of all against him, and he shall dwell before the face of all his brethren. And she called the name of the Lord, who spoke with her, You are the God of sight. For she said, Have I not also looked upon him who has seen me? That is why it is called Lai Roi. Behold, he is between Kadesh and Bered. And Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram called the name of his son who had borne Hagar, Ishmael. And it was Abram of 86 years old when Hagar gave Ishmael to Abram. Genesis chapter 17. And when Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to Abram and said to him, I am God Almighty. Walk in my presence and be perfect. And I will set my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and God spoke to him, saying, As for me, this is my covenant with you, and you will be the father of a multitude of nations. And your name shall no longer be called Abram, but Abraham shall be your name. For I have made you the father of the multitude of nations. And I will make thee exceedingly fruitful. And I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come forth from thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee in their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be thee by God, and thy seed after thee. And I will give thee, and thy seed after thee, the land of thy sojourning, all the land of Canaan in perpetual possession, and I will be their God. And God said unto Abraham, Thou shalt keep my covenant, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. This is my covenant, which ye shall keep between me and you, and thy seed after thee, that every male shall be circumcised. And you shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and this shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. And an 8-day-old son shall be circumcised. Every male in your generations, the one born in the house, and the one bought for money from any stranger who is not of your seed. For he who is born in your house will be circumcised, and bought with your money. And my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And the male with foreskin, whose flesh of the foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. It broke my covenant. And God said to Abraham, You shall no longer call Sarai your wife by her name, but Sarah shall be her name. For I will bless her, and give thee a son, and I will bless her, and she will be a mother of nations. Kings of peoples shall come out of it. And Abraham fell on his face, and laughed, and said in his heart, Shall a man be born 100 years old? And will Sarah conceive at the age of 90? And Abraham said to God, I wish that Ishmael may live before your face. And God said, Surely Sarah your wife will bear you a son, and you shall call his name Isaac, and with him I will establish my covenant, for an everlasting covenant for his seed after him. And as for Ishmael, I have also listened to thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him bear fruit, and will cause him to multiply exceedingly. He shall begat 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation. But I will make my covenant with Isaac, which Sarah will give you at this appointed time in the following year. And he finished speaking to him, and God came up from Abraham. And Abraham took his son Ishmael, and all that were born in his house, and all that were bought with his money, every male among the men of the house of Abraham, and he circumcised the flesh of his foreskin that very day, as God had spoken to him. And Abraham was 99 years old when the flesh of his foreskin was circumcised. And Ishmael his son was 13 years old when the flesh of his foreskin was circumcised to him. On that same day Abraham and his son Ishmael were circumcised, and all the males of his household, the one born at home and the one bought with money from abroad, were circumcised with him. Then the Lord appeared to him in the oak groves of Mamre, while he was sitting at the door of the tent when the day had warmed up. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, 3 men were standing by him. And when he saw them, he ran from the door of the tent to meet them, and bowed down to the earth, and said, "My Lord, if I have now found favor in your sight, I beseech you that you may not pass from your servant. Now bring some water, and wash your feet and recline under this tree, and I will bring a morsel of bread, that ye may pluck your heart. Then you shall pass on, because for this reason you have come to your servant." And they said, "So do as you have said." And Abraham hastened to Sarah at the tent, and said unto her, "Knead hastily 3 measures of fine flour, and make cakes." And Abraham ran to the cows, and took a tender and good calf, and gave it to the young man, who hastened to prepare it. And he took butter and milk and the veal which he had prepared, and set it all before them, and he was standing beside them under the tree. And they ate. And they said to him, "Where is Sarah your wife?" And he said, "Look, there it is in the tent." And he said, "I will surely return to thee for this time of life. And behold, Sarah thy wife shall bear a son." And Sarah heard him at the door of the tent that was behind him. And Abraham and Sarah were old and advanced in years. Sarah had already ceased the custom of women. So Sarah laughed with her, saying, "Shall I still have pleasure after I am old, when my master is old?" And the Lord said unto Abraham, "Why hath Sarah laughed, saying, Verily shall I beget, though I am yet old? Would anything be difficult for the Lord? At the appointed time I will return to you for this time of life, and Sarah shall have a son." And Sarah denied it, saying, "I have not laughed because she was afraid." And he said, "Do not say that, for you have laughed." And those men arose from there and looked toward the side of Sodom, and Abraham went with them, accompanying them. And the Lord said, "I will hide from Abraham what I do, since Abraham will certainly become a great and mighty nation, and in him will all the nations of the earth be blessed. For I have known him that he will command his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord, to do justice and justice, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham what he hath spoken about him." And the Lord said, "Because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah has increased, and because their sin has become exceedingly great, I will now come down and see if they have done according to this cry that is coming to me. And if not, I will know." Then those men turned their faces away and went to Sodom. But Abraham stood before the face of the Lord. And Abraham came and said, "Wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? If there are 50 righteous men in the city, will you destroy them also? And will you not spare the place for the sake of the 50 righteous people who are inside it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, that you kill the righteous with the wicked. Let the righteous be as the wicked. Far be it from thee. Would not the judge of all the earth do justice? And the Lord said, If I find 50 righteous people in Sodom within the city, I will spare the whole place for their sake. And Abraham answered, saying, Behold, now I have dared to speak unto the Lord, though I am dust and ashes. If there are 50 righteous 5s missing, will you destroy the whole city for those 5? And he said, I will not destroy it if I find 45 there. And he spoke to him again and said, Should they find 40 there? And he said, I will not do it for the sake of the 40. And he said, Now let not the Lord be angry if I speak again, if there be 30 there. And he said, I will not do it if I find 30 there. And he said, Behold, I have now dared to speak unto the Lord. Shall there be 20 there? And he said, I will not destroy it for the sake of the 20. And he said, Do not the Lord be angry, who speak only this more time, if there are 10 there? And he said, I will not destroy it for the sake of the 10. And the Lord went away when he had finished speaking to Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. Genesis chapter 19. And the 2 angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. And when Lot saw them, he stood up to meet them, and bowed down with his face to the ground. And he said, Behold, my lords, go in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and spend the night there, and wash your feet. And early in the morning you will arise and go on your way. And they said, No, before on the street we will spend the night. And he quarreled with them much. And they came with him and came into his house. And he made a feast for them, and baked cakes without leaven. And they ate. And before they lay down, the men of that city, the men of Sodom, from the young man to the old man, surrounded the house, all the people of all the neighborhoods. And they called Lot, and said unto him, Where are the men that have come unto thee this night? Bring them out to us, that we may know them. And Lot went out to them at the gate, and shut the door behind him, and said, My brethren, I beseech you to do no harm. Behold, I have 2 daughters who have not yet known a man. Outside I will bring them to you, and do with them as it pleases in your eyes. Only do nothing to these men, for that is why they have come under the shadow of my roof. But they said, Get out of there. They said, As a foreigner, did this individual come here to live and want to be a judge in everything? Now we will do you more harm than we do them. And they fell upon the man, upon Lot, and came near to break down the door. But those men stretched out their hand, and brought Lot into the house with them, and shut the door. And they smote the men who stood at the door of the house with blindness, from the least to the greatest, so that they were weary to find the door. And those men said unto Lot, Hast thou any more here? Your son-in-law, and your sons, and your daughters, and as many as you have in this city, bring them out of this place, for we are going to destroy this place, because its cry has grown loud before the face of the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. And Lot went out, and spake unto his sons-in-law, unto them that were to take his daughters, and said, Arise, get out of this place, for the Lord will destroy the city. He was, however, considered a mocker in the eyes of his sons-in-law. And when morning came, the angels pressed upon Lot, saying, Arise, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you perish in the unrighteousness of this city. But he tarried, and those men took him by the hand, and by the hand of his wife, and by the hand of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful to him, and brought him out, and put him out of the city. And it came to pass, when he had brought them out, that he said, Escape for your life. Do not look behind you, and do not stop in all this plain. Escape there to the mountain, lest you perish. And Lot said unto him, Not so, Lord. Behold, now your servant has found favor in your sight, and you have magnified your mercy which you have shown me, to keep my soul alive. But I cannot escape into the mountain, for I am afraid that this evil will come upon me, and I will die. Behold, now that city is near to flee thither, and it is small, and there I will escape. Is it not small? That my soul may live. And he said to him, Behold, I have accepted you also in this matter, so as not to overthrow this city of which you have spoken. Hurry, escape there, for I can do nothing until you have arrived there. That is why it was called the name of the city Zoar. And the sun came out on the earth, when Lot came into Zoar. Then the Lord rained brimstone and fire from the Lord from heaven on Sodom and Gomorrah. And he overthrew those cities, and all that plain, and all the inhabitants of those cities, and that which was born of the earth. And Lot's wife looked back, and became a pillar of salt. And Abraham got up that very early morning, and went to that place where he had stood before the face of the Lord. And he looked at Sodom and Gomorrah and all the land of the plain, and he saw, and behold, the smoke of the earth went up, like the smoke of a furnace. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham, and brought Lot out of the midst of destruction, and overthrew those cities in which Lot had dwelt. And Lot went up from Zoar and dwelt in the mountain, and his 2 daughters with him, because he was afraid to dwell in Zoar. And he dwelt in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. Then the firstborn said to the youngest, Our father is old, and there is no man in the land who comes in to us, according to the custom of all the earth. Come, let us give our father wine to drink, and let us lie down with him, that in life we may keep our father's seed. And they gave his father wine to drink that night. And the firstborn came and lay with her father, and he did not feel it when she lay down, nor when she got up. And it came to pass the next day that the firstborn said to the youngest, You see, I lay with my father last night. Let us give him wine to drink this night also, and then come in, lie down with him, that in life we may keep our father's seed. And they gave his father wine to drink that night also. And the lesser arose and lay down with him, and he did not feel it when she lay down, nor when she got up. And they conceived the 2 daughters of Lot from their father. And the firstborn bore a son, and called his name Moab. This is the father of the Moabites to this day. And the youngest also bore a son, and called his name Ben-Ami. This is the father of the sons of Ammon to this day. Genesis chapter 20. And Abraham departed from thence to the land south, and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur, and sojourned in Gerar. And when Abraham said of Sarah his wife, She is my sister, he sent Abimelech king of Gerar, and took Sarah. But God came to Abimelech in a dream by night, and said to him, Behold, you are dead because of the wife whom you have taken, because she is married to her husband. But Abimelech had not yet come to it. Therefore he said, Lord, will you also kill a righteous nation? Didn't he say to me, Is she my sister? And she also said, He is my brother. In sincerity of heart and in purity of my hands I have done this. And God said to him in a dream, I know that in the sincerity of your heart you have done this, and I also have kept you from sinning against me. Therefore I did not allow you to touch it. Now therefore restore a wife to her husband, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you that you may live. But if you do not restore it to him, know that you will surely die, you and all that is yours. And Abimelech arose early in the morning, and called all his servants, and spoke all these words in their ears, and they were greatly afraid of those men. And Abimelech called Abraham, and said unto him, What hast thou done unto us? And in what have I sinned against thee, that thou hast brought upon me and my kingdom such a sin? You have done to me what you should not have done. And Abimelech said to Abraham, What hast thou seen that thou hast done such a thing? And Abraham said, For I said to myself, Surely there is no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me for my wife's sake. And in fact, she is also my sister, my father's daughter, but not my mother's daughter, and became my wife. And it came to pass, when God had caused me to wander out of my father's house, that I said unto him, Let this be the grace which thou shalt do unto me in every place whither we come. Say of me, He is my brother. And Abimelech took sheep, and herds, and servants, and maidservants, and gave them to Abraham, and restored Sarah his wife to him. And Abimelech said, Behold, my land is before thy face. Dwell where it is good in your sight. And Sarah said, You see that I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, let them be a veil of your eyes to all who are with you, and even to all others. And you are warned. And Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, and his wife, and his maidservants, so that they had children. For the Lord had completely shut up all the wombs of the house of Abimelech for the sake of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Genesis chapter 21. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did to Sarah as he had spoken. And Sarah conceived, and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the appointed time which God had told him. And Abraham called his name after his son that was born to him, which Sarah had given him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded him. And Abraham was 100 years old when Isaac his son was born to him. And Sarah said, God has made me laugh, and everyone who hears it will laugh with me. And he said, Who would have thought to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children, because I gave him a son in his old age? And the child grew up and was weaned. So Abraham made a great feast on the day Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw that the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, whom she had given to Abraham, was mocking. And he said to Abraham, Throw away this maidservant and her son, for the son of this maidservant shall not inherit with my son with Isaac. And this word seemed very evil in the eyes of Abraham because of his son. But God said to Abraham, Do not look evil in your eyes about the young man and your maidservant. In all that Sarah says to you, hear her voice, for in Isaac your seed will be called. But I will also make the son of this handmaid a nation, for he is your seed. And Abraham arose early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water, and gave them to Hagar, laying them on his shoulder. And he gave her the child and sent her away, and she went away wandering in the wilderness of Beersheba. And when the water from the skin had been consumed, he threw the child under one of the trees. And he went and sat in front of him, moving away from the distance of a bow shot. For he said, May I not see the child die? And he sat down in front of him, and lifted up his voice, and wept. And God heard the voice of the child. And the angel of God cried out to Hagar from heaven, and said unto her, What hast thou, Hagar? Do not be afraid, for God has heard the voice of the boy from the place where he is. Arise, lift up the young man, and take him by the hand, for I will make him a great nation. And God opened his eyes, and he saw a well of water, and he went away, and filled the skin with water, and watered the young man. And it was God with the young man, who grew up and dwelt in the wilderness and was an archer. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took him wife out of the land of Egypt. And it came to pass at that time that Abimelech spoke with Phicol, the captain of his host, to Abraham, saying, God is with thee in all that thou doest. Now therefore swear to me here by God that you shall not lie to me, nor to my son, nor to my grandson. According to the kindness I have shown you, you will do to me and to the land where you sojourned. And Abraham said, I will swear. But Abraham rebuked Abimelech for a well of water that Abimelech's servants had taken by force. And Abimelech said, I do not know who did this, and you also did not make it known to me, nor did I hear it until today. And Abraham took sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech, and they both made a concert. 28. But Abraham set 7 lambs apart from the flock. And Abimelech said to Abraham, Why are these 7 strings here which you have set apart? And he said, You shall take these 7 lambs out of my hand, that they may be a testimony that I have dug this well. Therefore that place was called Beersheba, because they both swore there. So they held a concert in Beersheba. Then Abimelech and Phicol, the captain of his army, arose and returned to the land of the Philistines. And he planted a grove in Beersheba, and there called on the name of the Lord, the eternal God. And Abraham sojourned in the land of the Philistines many days. And it came to pass after these things that God tempted Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thy only son, Isaac, whom thou lovest, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer it there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains, and I will tell you. And Abraham arose early in the morning and saddled his donkey, and took with him 2 of his servants, and Isaac his son. And he split wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went to the place which God had told him. On the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes, and saw the place from afar. And Abraham said unto his servants, Abide here with the ass, and I and the lad shall go thither. And having worshipped, we will return to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering, and laid it on Isaac his son, and he took the fire and the knife in his hand, and they were both together. Then Isaac spoke to Abraham his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. And he said, Behold the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" And Abraham said, "God will provide for himself the lamb for the burnt offering, my son." Thus they both walked together, and they came to the place which God had told them. And Abraham built an altar there, and set the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slaughter his son. But the angel of the Lord cried out to him from heaven and said, "Abraham, Abraham." And he said, "Here I am." Then he said, "Do not stretch out your hand on a young man, and do nothing to him. For now I know that you fear God, and you have not withheld from me your son, your only one." And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a ram behind him caught at its ends in a thicket. And Abraham went and took the ram, and offered it for a burnt offering in place of his son. And Abraham called the name of that place, "The Lord will provide," whence it is said to this day, "On the mountain of the Lord it shall be provided." Then the angel of the Lord cried out to Abraham a second time from heaven, and said, "I have sworn by myself, says the Lord, because you have done this deed, and have not withheld from me your son, your only one, that I will bless thee, and multiply thy seed exceedingly, as the stars of the heavens, and as the sand that is on the seashore. And your seed shall possess the gate of their enemies. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice." Then Abraham returned to his servants, and they arose and went together to Beersheba. And Abraham dwelt in Beersheba. And it came to pass after these things that they announced to Abraham, saying, "Behold, Milcah also bore sons to Nahor your brother, Uz his firstborn, and Buz his brother, and Kemuel, the father of Aram, and Cozi, and Hazo, and Pildas, and Jidlaph, and Bethuel. And Bethuel begat Rebekah. These 8 gave Milcah to Nahor, Abraham's brother, and his concubine, whose name was Reumah, bore him also Thebe, and Gahan, and Taash, and Maachah. Genesis chapter 23. And Sarah's life was 127 years. These were the years of Sarah's life, and Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, which is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to lament for Sarah and to weep for her. Then Abraham stood up from before his dead man and spoke to the children of Heth, saying, "I am a stranger and a pilgrim among you. Give me the possession of a grave with you, that I may bury my dead man from before my face." And the children of Heth answered Abraham, saying to him, "Hear us, my lord. You are the prince of God in our midst. Bury your dead in the choicest of our graves. None of us shall seal up thy grave unto thee, that thou mayest bury thy dead." Then Abraham stood up and bowed down before the people of the land, before the children of Heth. And he spake unto them, saying, "If it be thy will that I should bury my slain from before my face, hear me, and speak for me unto Ephron the son of Zohar. Let him give me the grave of Machpelah, which he has at the end of his field, that he may give me a tomb among you at due price." Now Ephron was in the midst of the sons of Heth, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the children of Heth, of all them that came in by the gate of his city, saying, "No, my lord, hear me, I give you the field, I also give you the pit that is in it, before the eyes of the children of my people to do, bury your dead." Then Abraham bowed down before the face of the people of the land, and he spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, "But if you are in this way, hear me, I pray you, I will give you the price of the field. Take it from me, and I will bury my dead there." And Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, "My lord, hear me. The earth is 400 shekels of silver. What is this between me and you? Bury your dead." And Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed upon Ephron the silver of which he had spoken in the ears of the children of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, chains among merchants. So the field of Ephron that was in Machpelah, opposite Mamre, and the field and the pit that was in it, and all the grove that was in the field that was all around it, They confirmed themselves to Abraham, in possession before the eyes of the sons of Heth, of all who entered through the gate of his city. And Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of the field of Machpelah, opposite Mamre, which is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. So the field and the pit that was in it were confirmed to Abraham in the possession of a grave by the sons of Heth.